I mean, I'll tell you this. I think Classic WoW's combat is better than Final Fantasy 14 or BDO.
There it is. I was told that some of Asmongold's takes in this video were some of the hottest he has ever had about our game. So I kind of want to hear what he has to say, because he's reviewing Crimson Desert. So like, I understand it's hard not to bring up BDO when you talk about Crimson Desert, right? But
coming out, I guess this is part of a showcase that they're going to be putting out tomorrow. So Crimson Desert, we've heard about Black Desert. This is the same developer, but it's more of a single player focused game. I don't know.
It's going to be co-op, Copium. It's going to be co-op, guys. Don't worry.
Know if there's going to be any synchronous gameplay like Monster Hunter or anything like that. I have no idea. But what I do know is this is a game coming out and it's going to have at least a focus on single player. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to take a look at it, and this is a boss fight, actually, or actual real boss.
We've all seen this boss fight, right? We've all seen this by now. I personally think the boss fight looks great. There's some stuttering in it, which I think like maybe they're overdoing it a little bit on some like the snow effects and stuff. I think the boss fight itself looked pretty good. I was pretty excited about it. I'm very excited. I think that the game competes with Assassin's Creed, The Witcher, that kind of franchise
boss
stuff.
Fight. Let's take a look at it. Here we go.
Particularly Assassin's Creed.
On a baseline note, this game has looked good enough to where like it's a good single player game.
Oh my god, it's so loud.
So far. Let's see this. Okay.
Yeah, the graphics look good.
Kids over there. The townsfolk will suffer his deathly wrath.
All right.
The spirit will punish us all.
All right.
Halt. What? This don't concern you, outsider.
Mom, can we have Jon Snow? No, we have Jon Snow at home.
Where are the kids? He's here to take the spirit's children.
Is
that a Rudum? It's absolutely a Rudum.
Okay.
We cannot let him take the children.
This is just a cinematic. This is fun. Oh wow. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, see, that combat looks sick. I think that combat's exciting, bro. The combat looks so good. The only thing I'm concerned about a little bit is performance, which is what like Chad is saying here.
Nice.
I would agree with them.
Okay.
Where are the kids?
So you can like talk to people or kill them?
You got any idea
That's
what
cool.
you're doing?
I think.
The spirit will punish us all. Ion, the spirit of the mountain, over there.
Your shit is dying.
We've all gonna doom ourselves.
Yeah, it's the Yeti.
There's the big boy.
Shit.
Yeah.
Some of this rocks and stuff, you know, they look like they're too polygony, but like, you know, whatever. The graphics, I don't really have any complaints about. It's these snow effects and shit, bro. I think this is going to be really hard on a lot of computers.
I like when things like that happen in video games and they make sense. It's like a really small thing, but it makes it feel like you're in an experience.
True.
Let me, I'm gonna do as much as I can, right?
I won't comment too much on the gameplay, guys, because I've already reacted to it. I want to hear what Asmon said about it.
It's okay. It's not
I think it's better.
great. It's okay.
I think that's crazy. I think it does look great. I'm biased, but like I think it looks really good. I think it's like, again, they're aiming at Assassin's Creed meets like The Witcher kind of, you know what I mean? The thing I'm skeptical with in this game is not like the delivery on the combat or the open world. I think these are things that Pluribus already knows how to do really well, and I think that I'm not worried that those things are going to be bad, you know what I mean? Like below the line. I think that those things are going to be really good. I think that what they're like saying that they're going to deliver on and what they're promising to deliver on is the storyline. And I'll be honest, I've never seen Pluribus deliver a storyline that wasn't just an R simulator. Just being honest. So like the thing I'm skeptical about Crimson Desert is I don't feel like it can deliver a storyline as good as like say The Witchers. But like that's kind of what they're saying it's going to be. But I do think that it can beat Assassin's Creed in combat and graphics.
They got a mini map where my camera is, by the way.
Yeah, it feels like God of War, but like open world. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. All right.
What I'm worried about is that Asvin is going to try to compare this to Elden Ring. Nothing can be compared to Elden Ring. You can't compare it to Elden Ring. It ain't going to beat Elden Ring. Nothing is going to beat Elden Ring. Stop trying to compare shit to that shit. See, this is really cool. I love how he comes from like the snow, you know what I mean? And he tries to attack you. This is a very dynamic boss battle. I think it looks really cool. I think it's really well designed. And I think that it's kind of a hot take to be like, yeah, this is like okay. This is better than like the vast majority of the games we're gonna get this year, probably like next year too.
Happy Muncher 69 just
Like, oh, he frozen. Okay, I didn't notice that before. I think Armin saw this. Look at it. He's like a ragdoll. Ugh. Yeah, like this looks engaging to me. Okay, somehow not dead, but that's fine. Somehow not dead.
Let me guess his face too. Yeah, he got a full health bar again.
This is how all the bosses work. They start with like a blue health bar, then it goes green, then it goes red. 2014 graphics? You think that these graphics? You think the graphics in Crimson Desert are from 2014? Are we looking at the same game? And in fairness, I would say that honestly, that's a fine take. Because what year was... Hold on. No. Elden Ring was released in 2022. And that was the best graphical game I think I've ever seen in my life. And I don't think that the graphics in this game are better than Elden Ring, right? But I think they are better. I think the graphics are probably a 9 out of 10, an 8 or a 9 out of 10 for sure. I think that Wukong is better. Yes, I would agree. I think that Wukong also has much better graphics. Especially during the boss battles. I think like scenery-wise, they're probably pretty close, but Wukong still wins. But like during the boss battles, it's definitely Wukong. But like aside from those two games, the graphics in this game look really good. And then the combat, being able to grapple your opponents, WWE SmackDown, and we know that Black Desert's combat is like the best in genre. So like I'm pretty confident they can come up with like a really good combat system, and this looks really good. Yeah, see, that's cool. It's Unreal Engine 4, I'm sure. This is not Unreal Engine 4, to be clear. This is Black Desert, Pearl Abyss created its own, this is its own engine. Black Desert also runs on its own engine. I don't really like the fact that you can pause it and eat. I think you should have to eat while you're going, a lot like Wukong. Or, again, the Dark Souls games are fine, right? But, like, Resident Evil 4, the thing I didn't really like about Resident Evil 4, even though it was a masterpiece in game design, is the fact that, like, you could be getting besieged by, like, 100 zombies right in front of you, and you're like, wait, time out. Okay, time in. Like, it kind of breaks your immersion a little bit. I haven't heard anything crazy. Asmon's take on it so far has been fine. Let's see what he says about the end.
Yeah, I think this is like a 6 or a 7, to be honest with you guys. I don't think it's really that good.
That's crazy. Okay, well, I mean, like, I think 7 would be kind of a fair take. 6 is lowballing. I think 8 is probably where it actually sits. I would give it a 10, but, like, I'm biased as right? 9, I'd probably give it a 9, maybe, right? But, like, I'm biased, right? I play Black Desert.
Subscribed
so,
for
like,
2 months. Ilya Mr. Dragon.
I think 7 is like a fair take. 6 is like, what are you talking about? 6 is like, I won't even play it. You know what I mean? Like,
I want to talk about some of the reasons why I kind of have a little bit of criticism for this. Is that
all right? Here we go.
Like, for example, whenever you're trying to dodge out of something, and there's like things that are falling from the sky that like it impacts your character's movement and it impairs your character's movement, and there's no indicator, they just happen randomly. I feel like,
was there any of that in this fight? Did like a boulder or a tree fall on him and like he didn't get an indicator and he just got hit? I don't really feel like there was any of that.
that's an annoying game mechanic. It's just obnoxious, and so like if you get hit by one of those and then the boss hits
Yes, there were. Okay, I'll take your word for it. Maybe I missed them.
you, it's like, okay, well, what the right? And so like the two ways that you solve that are you either make the game so easy that it doesn't matter, or you just expect people to do it over and over. And so,
Well, that's what Elder Scrolls, Dark Souls does. Dark Souls expects you, that's their gameplay loop. You just gotta do it over and over again. Didn't know that he was gonna attack a third time? Tough shit. Like, yeah, okay, I gotta be mindful that this tree could fall over. That's just part of it, you know?
like, I look at a lot of the other like impact mechanics and things like that, and like, for example, the slams, I think they're like really not that great. I think that basically, so like there are two things that matter inside of like combat inside of a video game, and I think that it's playability and style. So if you look at the two, like, kind of,
I think the style and playability of this game are at least an 8 out of 10. It's not going to beat Elden Ring, right? It's not going to beat Wukong, I don't think. But I think it'll be like the next in line here.
very big differences, right, is you have like Dark Souls 1 that has like, every game has a style to it, but it's not stylized. Dark Souls 1 really isn't a stylized game. It's a very like grounded, fundamental, like I guess like European Gothic dark fantasy like medieval game, right?
Yeah, so why are we comparing it to Crimson Desert?
That's it. And then you have on the level of style, you have things like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, you have Final Fantasy 16,
Okay.
you have, like, I would say even Elden Ring, right? I think Elden Ring is like the pinnacle of like 10
Yeah.
on style and 10 on combat quality.
That's the bar.
Like,
Yep.
I think also like Dragon's Dogma 2 is like really high up there. But like if I look at this combat and I compare it to, for example, like the Kadan first Berserker game, I think the Kadan game completely clears this in pretty much all ways. I think that stylistically it's more interesting. I think that visually
This?
Wolves who defeated the beast.
I faced unrelenting.
Oh yeah, I saw. Okay, yeah, no, I could see that. Yeah, it's a stylistic preference for sure. But like, yeah, I could see why he says that. This is more of like kind of an anime art, like it's more of an art take. You know what I mean? But the combat looks really, really good. Yeah, and it also looks better optimized. I think that's a fair take. I think that's fine. Yeah, I would agree.
it looks better. This is kind of messy,
Sure.
in my opinion. And I also think that the mechanics are more easily readable and they look more satisfying. So and Devil May Cry 5, you know, again,
I think that is all fair. He hasn't said anything that I'm like, oh my god, only a 6. I think if he wants to give it a 6, I think that's fine. What's wrong?
like that's I mean, there was literally a style meter in the game. And so I look at this and I think to myself, this seems like a game that I'll play.
Yeah,
But it
for
doesn't
sure.
seem like a game that I'm going to have like a lot of really fond memories of in the same way that I do of like Elden Ring or Dragon's Dogma 2 or 1.
I think that's you're talking about how much nostalgia you feel like you're going to get from a game. I don't think he would have thought that he thought Monster Hunter was going to be very good before he played it. He probably didn't feel this way about Monster Hunter either. You can't have any idea how nostalgic you're going to feel about a game. You don't know how it's going to captivate you. That's a little obnoxious, but okay, let him talk.
Or Metal Gear Rising Revengeance or Final Fantasy 16, right? Right now, what this seems like is it seems like a generic fantasy, medieval European, exploration game where you fight through a lot of the obvious tropes, and it's just kind of average. It's above average, and again, as
It's kind of average. It's above average.
somebody who's the target audience for a game like this, it's still something that I would choose to play.
It's not. I think he's bang on. Hold on, let him finish.
But at the same time, I just don't really see it being a, this isn't a game of the year contender, right?
It depends. Are we competing against? I think we're waiting until next year to release it, so we won't have to compete with Elden Ring. So I think we'll be fine. We also won't have to be competing with Wukong either. I think it could be Game of the Year theoretically. If we get a bunch of garbage next year, it could be Game of the Year. But I think he's right. On the standard, it's probably not going to be Game of the Year, right? Like, you're competing with GTA 6. Definitely going to be number 2. Could compete for the number 2 slot. You know what I mean? But, like, overall, he's a Dark Souls player. Asmon is a Dark Souls player through and through. He's played a lot of video games. But, like, he is a heart and soul at his core. He's a World of Warcraft and a Dark Souls player, right? Like, those are the games he really enjoys. This game, although Dark Souls players will play this game, he's probably right. They're probably not going to be as excited about Crimson Desert. But it's not their target audience. They're not going after the Dark Souls audience, guys. You got to think about this. What audience in the action combat genre, like the RPG genre, is really upset right now? You're competing with Ubisoft. They want the Assassin's Creed players. That's who they want. Compare it to Assassin's Creed. I think it's going to be better than every Assassin's Creed game. I don't know about Black Flag. We'll see. But like, I think that's the target audience that they're going after, right? Those are the people that they're kind of going after. The Witcher fans, right? They're trying to go after the Witcher fans. My skepticism with the game is that I don't think it's the storyline. We'll see. I'm hoping that the storyline is crazy, right? Yeah, God of War, right? The God of War fans would also like a game like this, right? And to be clear, I think that the boss battles in this are pretty similar to God of War. God of War feels, at least the God of War games that I played, compared to like these trailers, because I've seen all the boss trailers. I've seen everything they've put out for Crimson Desert. I don't know. God of War seems a little bit more epic, right? You're fighting gods. You're not just fighting a Yeti in the mountains, right? You're not just fighting some Giga Chad who pulls the sword out of somebody else's corpse or a stoneback crab, right? It's a different setting, so it's tough to compare. I would say God of War feels more epic, but the world of Crimson Desert is probably going to be better, and so it'll probably still appeal to those players, and it's going to maintain a lot of those players. I think that players are really going to enjoy this. I think it's going to be a wild success. Yeah, God of War Ragnarok. Yeah, that's the one I played.
Right? At least not based off of this combat. I've always thought, and this is, I think, maybe an unpopular opinion, but I think that 2015 was a really long time ago. And when people talk about how great Black Desert Online combat is, I think that if you actually compare it to a lot of the modern, combat games, some of the combat games are garbage, but some of them are absolutely not. And I don't think that Black Desert Online's combat has evolved and is as nearly as good as people think that it is.
What are you comparing it to? If you're comparing it to like an action RPG, he's probably right. Right? If you're comparing Black Desert Online, an MMO, a massive multiplayer online game, and its combat system with something like Elden Ring's combat system, let's be honest, BDO still wins. Elden Ring's combat system is like dodging, left mouse button, right? You can finish people, right? It's extremely difficult, but it's not really... I wouldn't say it's not nearly as complex as Black Desert's combat system, but like you can't compare the two. You can't even really compare because they're two completely different games. Elden Ring is going to win out on Black Desert's combat in some aspects, and then BDO is going to win in other aspects, but you're comparing apples and oranges. You have to compare the same genre of game. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even make sense to try. And if you compare Black Desert Online to something like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, right? Or even Throne and Liberty. It's not even close, right? Like BDO's combat is leagues ahead of any of the other MMOs in the genre. It's not even remotely close. But like, I think he's just making an unfair comparison there. But like, he's said exactly that 2 or 3 times across the last 2 months. I watch a decent amount of Asmon. I don't watch as much as I used to because I'm busy doing my own stuff now. But like, I watch a decent amount of them. And every time he brings up BDO, he talks about how he's underwhelmed with the combat system, and like it's really weird. Like it's always been really weird. He's never really elaborated on it. So like hopefully he elaborates a little here.
I think that it's very clunky. I think movement in this game feels kind of it looks like it's stilted, right? It's like, you know how like in Dark Souls 1 you could only move in 8 directions. It's like it's not omnidirectional. This is like a nuanced thing, right? But like that's just the way the game works. I think this game is going to have kind of the same feel to it, but it's going to lack the methodical, like playing chess, almost turn-based aspect of Dark Souls 1, because it's just going to have the fast-paced combat, except for you're still playing with these ankle weights on. And so, yeah. I
don't know about all that. Like, again, he's trying to draw this from a trailer. I don't know. I think it's definitely going to be better than Dark Souls 1. I think the take that it's going to be worse than Dark Souls 1 is pretty crazy. But it's not the same game. Dark Souls 1 is a completely different, like you said before, it's a completely different style. It's a completely different type of game. This is an open world, like you can run anywhere and just like try to kill a boss. It's more like Elden Ring than anything. Why are we comparing it to Dark Souls 1? What the f are we doing? Like
8 equals omni. No, I said it didn't have omnidirectional. That's what I said. And so yeah, that's the way that I feel about it. And yeah, and to be fair, it doesn't need to be peak. a game doesn't need to be peak, but I think that if they want to make that, like, I'm giving feedback on the game. I'm saying, like, this is good enough for me to buy the game.
Correct.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'll buy the...
Yeah, I think that take is fair. If he wants to give it a 6, that's fair. And that's kind of where I thought Asmon would put it. 6 or 7. That's basically where I thought he'd put it. Because, like, he's a Dark Souls, World of Warcraft fan. And let's be honest, guys, Black Desert's combat is not Asmongold's thing. He does not like the Black Desert combat system. Guys, he logged in last year for like 2 hours to play BDO, and you know what he did? He quit because he couldn't put all his skills on the hotbar. Like, that's who you're dealing with. Like, so, like, you can't, and, like, I love Asmon, but you can't really, like, expect him to like this game if the combat is going to be really complex like this. He's not going to like that too much. He needs a much simpler combat system that is much more just, I don't know, engaged. You know what I mean? Like Elden Ring. Elden Ring is you're basically just tapping left mouse button and dodging. Every once in a while you have to heal. Right? But you're basically dodging the boss's attacks and then you're attacking. And that's basically all there is to it. It can get really complex, but it's a very simple system. Simple, but very effective. Right? It doesn't have frontal guards, super armor, iframe, like button combos that you're pushing and all this shit. Right? Like that, he's not about that. It's not like Asmon plays fighting games on a regular basis. So, like, I don't expect him to like the game very much. To say that BDO's combat has somehow devolved over the years is a hot take. BDO's combat is someone that's been playing for almost the entire length of its career in the West here. Has stayed pretty consistent. There was one change with PvP around, like, here. Like, the game released, and then, like, they changed how super armors, like, how many classes had super armors and stuff. But the combat itself, like, the comboing and, like, how super armors interact with frontal guards, interact with grabs, etc., things like that, it's all been the same. It hasn't changed. So it hasn't degraded at all. What's degraded is the PvP systems in the game. Those have degraded. But the combat itself has not moved.
This game, I'll play this game. Even if I wasn't a streamer, I would buy and play this game. Sure. But, like, the level of excitement that I would have for it would not be like where, like, with Black Myth Wukong or Dragon's Dogma 2 or Final Fantasy.
Because Wukong hits that itch for him. It hits that Dark Souls itch, you know what I mean?
16 or obviously Elden Ring. I feel like I use it so much, it's like overused. Like it's not like a game that I'm counting down the days for.
It's fair.
And I'm like watching every update about and thinking about, you know, Monster Hunter Wilds. Yeah, I'm not thinking about it that way, you know? That's fine though, not every...
Yeah, like I give the game like a 9 or a 10 because I love Black Desert's combat system, right? So to me, I already know Pearl Abyss that knows how to do open world, so I'm like really excited to go explore their open world. That's going to be amazing. I'm very excited to use their combat system, right? Or the upgraded combat system, presumably, that they're coming from BDO, because I love that combat system a lot, right? So, like, I'm part of the target audience. I think that Assassin's Creed players are also a part of that target audience, right? So
every game can be that good. No, but I think that the game does take unnecessary L's with certain things, like just the way that hit collision works in this game, I think is kind of mediocre. And I think that they really should go back to the drawing board and think a little bit about how hit detection and combat works.
Asmongold, you speak English, so they're just not going to listen to anything that you say. That's the problem.
Because I don't think BDO is as good as the player base thinks that it is. I don't.
Okay, now I think we're going to get to the point. People said I was going to be really pissed about this video, so let's let him cook for a second.
I think that, like, there are certain things about BDO that are phenomenal and amazing.
Yeah.
But if you made BDO again in the year 2020, like, basically BDO's combat when it came out, it was like Elden Ring. It was insane.
It was the Elden Ring of its time for MMOs. Right, it was for MMOs, graphics and combat, it just blew away every other MMO. It didn't matter, right? And to be clear, it's still on par. Its graphics are still arguably top tier for the genre, right? Like it's tough to beat BDOs. Like you got like Lost Ark up there, right? But like aside from that, I don't really have very many MMOs competing with BDO's graphics. Yeah, the combat. Compare it to all of the combat in the genre. It's still best in genre. I'll admit the other games are catching up. BDO's like here. And when it came out, the other games were like there, right? Now, the other games are like here. So like, or a little further along. Maybe they're like here, right? I'll give them there. But like, they're still not there yet. It's still best in genre. And it hasn't downgraded at all over the years. Like he's kind of implying here.
It was amazing. It was unbelievably amazing. But that was a long time ago. And it's not there anymore. And I think that it's evolved. It's a was. Yeah, exactly. 2014. I don't.
So he's saying the word evolve. In this case, he means devolve. The combat hasn't devolved. The combat's the same. Combat hasn't moved. He would know that if he played it recently.
Remember, is that when I played it when it came out in the West. So I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah.
But that's generally what my opinion.
He played a lot, I think, when it first came out. If I remember correctly, he played of it when it came out.
Particle effects should we put
I don't
in the
remember
game?
what
The
level
answer
he
is
got
yes.
to, though.
Yeah, exactly, right? A Jon Snow sequel we've all been waiting for. Yeah, I mean, again, I just, expectations for this game, I would say that they're definitely not like this. If did this move my bar up or down? It moved it down. Definitely moved it down. And so
that's crazy, but fair. Okay, sure.
Oh yeah, that's the way I feel about it. Videos dragged down by an exhausting grind. Yeah, but I think gameplay matters the most. Gameplay is always what matters more than anything. But again, like my expectation was like very high. Now it's slightly lower, but it's still high enough to where I would be excited about the
fair take. What the is the problem, guys?
game? Just not that excited.
Why'd you guys think I was gonna get all mad?
Why are we comparing an MMORPG to a single player action game again? Let's compare BDO's
True. That true and based chatter.
combat to WoW or Final Fantasy 14. I mean, I'll tell you this. I think Classic WoW's combat is better than Final Fantasy 14 or BDO.
There it is. Okay, there it is. All right, let's run that back. Hold on. Let's back that up.
Let's compare
first.
BDO's combat to WoW or Final Fantasy 14. I mean, I'll tell you this. I think Classic WoW's combat is better than Final Fantasy 14 or BDO.
Wow. Okay, that's the reason. Okay, I don't disagree with Asmon on very many things. That has got to be the most L take I've heard Asmon ever take on anything. Comparing, I mean, guys, you're talking about the man who literally quit Black Desert because he couldn't put the warrior skills on his hotbar. And he could! That's the worst part! He could put them on his hotbar, he just couldn't figure it out. He wants to use 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? No, Black Desert's combat is miles ahead of classic World of Warcraft. It's not even comparable. They're in different leagues. Okay? Like no one has ever made the argument that WoW's combat is stronger than BDO's. That's BDO's only thing it has going for it. Combat and graphics. That's it. Right? Like, and even still, you have people that argue that WoW's art style has aged better than BDO's. Well, okay, well, I mean, and I would say that, okay, well, I could see that, if you like that art style. But the combat, get the out of here. You're talking about action combat. And WoW, you're pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 in various orders. That's it. That's all you're doing. On repeat. That's it. Like, and WoW's combat requires you to have add-ons coming out. Like, you got so much shit going on in your screen, you got like a dot in the middle for your character. Right? Like, Black Desert's combat, miles ahead. You've got actual combos, right? Different types of protection, right? Like, interactive ways to get behind players and CC them. You got to do full. You got a CC combo people. You got a DPS combo people. You got certain skills are down attacks. Certain skills are air attacks. Like, there's none of that depth in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy. Like, don't even start with me on. That's why people thought I was. Yeah, and they're right. That's crazy. I love Asmon, but that's an L. And I'll also be honest. He's been talking kind of shit about BDO the last couple months or so. I don't really know why. I think, again, he like logged in like a year ago for Land of the Morning Light and then like logged out at level 18 because he couldn't hotbar his skills or whatever. Because he just doesn't like the combat system, and that's fair. But like, yeah, you ain't gonna sit here and tell me that it's worse. Okay? BDO's
Honest
combat
question, no
has not
intent to make
devolved.
you angry, but could he mean everything entailed in combat, like how you interact with the enemies, not just your own character, and maybe he could be factoring in PvE content, not just PvP?
No, Black Desert's gameplay for PvE and PvP is stronger. That's why people will grind for thousands of hours, but they'll only play the WoW expansion for a few days. Okay? Like, think about it for a second. World of Warcraft does appeal to a wider audience because it's a much simpler game, right? And it's like the staple for the genre. But Black Desert's gameplay is stronger when you talk about the combat system. Right? Complex, Omega Lol. Well, I mean, BDO's is complex when you compare it. When we're comparing it to World of Warcraft, right? It's apples and oranges. It's not even close. It's not even remotely close.
I do. I think it feels better. Like,
even the chat is saying L.
like, for example, like there's
like, what? Nah, damn. They're all laughing at him.
like little things in BDO where it's like you can't.
L take. Yeah, dude. Asmon's chat does not like Black Desert Online. All right, I'm just gonna tell you. Asmon's chat is not, they're not fans of BDO, okay? If they're like, yeah, that's an L take, it's an L take, all right? That's correct. It's out of touch, is what it is.
Can't move diagonally as fast as you can move in forward. That to me feels really bad to play.
What are we? What are we talking about? What do you mean diagonal? I can move way faster. Yeah, honestly, this isn't even fair. This is Awakening Nova. You have to be on cocaine to play this class. I'll switch to a different class. Awakening Nova is the fastest class in the game, so I don't really want to blow him that far out of the water. But he's trying to say that Black Desert, you can't move diagonally as quickly as you can move forward or horizontally. Like, that's insane. Like, and in fairness, he can only press 3 buttons at a time. So, like, but like, all right, so diagonally would be like that way, right? Like where, okay, like where, which way do you want me to move, right? Like I can move any which way. I can curve the bullets, okay? I can turn my skills. Like I can jump in a circle, right? Like you can literally mouse move teleports.
Imagine how much learning curve you would have in WoW if they had BDO Combat Dench.
Holy shit, bro. They would lose players because the combat would be too complicated for people to understand how to use. The truth. Like, he didn't play DK? Well, it's not just Dark Knight, dude. Do you want me to go through every class in the game? Do I need to demonstrate? Do I really need to demonstrate on every class in the game that you can move diagonally just as fast as you can move in every other direction? What are we talking about, guys? Like, what the? I'm playing shy right now. I can go in any direction I want. I can go faster. Like, what do you want me to do? He played Warrior. Warrior can move diagonally too. You act like Warrior can't move diagonally? Like, Warrior can walk in its block, it can dash in any direction it wants to.
But he played Warrior before LVL 56, so how can he know the full potential of the Kals?
Oh, he can't, because he never got to play Awakening or Succession. That's how far behind he is. He has no idea, like, what movement actually can't, like, what you can do with the Black Desert combat system. And that shows it, right? Like that right there, that statement. The fact it's like, oh, well, you can't move diagonally. That's crazy, bro.
Play. Get good? Well, I would say that they should get good and make a direction system that feels better to play.
That's true, right? He's talking about directionally, like direction system like this. And to be clear, BDO is omnidirectional, so I don't really know what the that's about. I would say that they need to get good and make a direction for their game. Right? I think the direction for their game is right now. But like he's talking about the direction you can move your character in. We can move in any direction. He just doesn't understand that because he hasn't played the game in 7 years and his old man brain has forgotten. I say old man brain, we're basically the same age. He just forgot. Like, It's not like it's changed. It's not any different. You can still move diagonally and around omnidirectionally. Guys, you can mouse move in Black Desert. You can literally spin your character in the middle of a teleport, in the middle of any move. You can literally go at 360 degrees. A move that originally was supposed to go diagonal, right? Or horizontal or vertical. It doesn't matter, right? It can go in any direction that it wants. It isn't omnidirectional. Well, omnidirectional video game definition. What are you defining as omnidirectional then? I'm curious. I consider omnidirectional. I can go in any direction with the combat that I want. I can literally go in any direction that I want. I can fight any way that I want. I can move in any way that I want. Right? And you, because of mouse move, you can move any direction that you want. Yeah? It is omnidirection. I can dash in all 8 cardinal directions. There it is. Okay? You can literally dash any way that you want, and because of mouse move, even more than that. What the f are we talking about? Right? Right? Do you see how I can literally land in any spot that I want? I don't have to go in a straight line with my teleport. I can literally go anywhere that I want at the same speed. Right? I can go this way if I want. Why are we debating obvious shit? Because when stupid people say stupid things. Asmon is a smart person saying stupid things. You have to... Asmon is educatable. You can educate Asmon. He's not a complete idiot like most of the other degenerates online. Okay? So, like, if you just show him, like, hey, the game absolutely can do all of this, you're underselling BDO. You know what I mean? And to be clear, none of us want to defend Black Desert right now. The state of the game, no one wants to defend Black Desert right now. Okay? But, like, let's not pretend that our combat is any worse than it actually is. Okay?
Yeah, real life movement? No way. That's a terrible argument. Real life movement in a game with dragons? I don't want to hear about how things are real life movement.
That's true. That guy's a idiot.
It doesn't feel good to play and it sucks. You hated BDO from the start? No, I didn't. I was level 54 when 55 was the level cap.
I don't know if there ever was a level cap in BDO. So, like, you had me until that there was... Yeah. I think at the very beginning of the game, they wouldn't let us get to 56 because Awakening was about to come out. Yeah. Or, like, you were barely about to be hit level 56. And so he was level 54. Right? But, like, they basically made it impossible to get above 56 early on in the game. So 54, in fairness, he's absolutely right. That is impressive. Very impressive. Just a soft cap. Exactly. But it was impressive for 2016, before Awakening came out, before Succession came out. And even before then, you could still move. You could still mouse move your character, guys. It's not like mouse move is this new thing. Berserkers can literally jump. How many of you guys have seen Berserkers literally just rocket through the air in any direction that they want? They literally mouse move it. They move in like circles like this. They spiral around you like this. It's insane. Literally nuts.
I was in the top, like, I would log in and I would be on the growth board.
I believe it.
I played the out of the game. Like those Sousens or whatever the like I
Perfect pronunciation. I'm gonna say right now, this made a video about the new $500 skin in League of Legends, and the whole video he called the character Aerie or Ahiri. That shit was crazy.
I live there. And so that's the way that I look at it. And that's, I think that Crimson Desert, as I said, you know, it's okay, but not great. Anyway, we'll move on.
That's, I mean, like, that, I disagree with that take. I think the only really controversial thing he said was that Classic WoW has better combat than Black Desert and Final Fantasy, which is insane. And I think that we can all agree with that statement. I think that I think that's insane. I don't know. What do the comments say? What do the comments say? Asmon, well, watching a Need for Speed gameplay. Dark Souls has better boss fights. There it is. He compares everything to Dark Souls, bro. In fairness, you are fighting bosses in this one. So, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes I think Asmon's logic is outdated. Holy shit. That in this case, true. Asmon has to stop comparing From Software mechanics to every new action game that comes out. I mean, I think that it's fair to compare the From Software mechanics to a lot of the action games because, let's be honest, they're trying to compete with them and they can't. So, like, I think it's fine to compare it to Dark Souls. I just don't. The only thing, Dark Souls, I don't think it's going to be better than Dark Souls. I don't think it's going to be better than Elden Ring or the White Snake one that was like impossible to beat. That I'm blanking on the name of right now. That one was absolutely obnoxious. That was stupid, bro. God damn it, bro. But damn, it was fun. I don't think it's going to be better than Elden Ring, right? Which is the one I think you have to compare it to because that was the open world Dark Souls game. Sekiro, that's right. Shadows. Asmon while playing Tetris. I think Dark Souls has better combat. Again, Dark Souls combat is not necessarily what makes the game super good. Okay? It's the immersion and, like he said, the stylistic choice of Dark Souls that makes it really good. Dark Souls combat, when you boil it down, is really simple, guys. You're just pressing left mouse button and you're dodging the boss's abilities. And every once in a while, you get to do like a little critical move where like you stagger the boss and you get to do the critical move. That's it. It's not really that complicated. It doesn't have a tremendous amount of depth. It's simple. It's really easy to grasp, which is why he likes it. But like stylistically and graphically, there is no comparison. Sekiro's goated though. It is. It's just impossibly difficult. It's so hard. It's such a hard game, bro. This is what a typical opinion when a player is heavily influenced from other Souls games and not looking the game as it is. I would agree with that. The dude's going to be 70-year-old comparing games to classic WoW. Way off base on this take. I would say that, yes, the WoW take was the craziest take. I think the rest of it, I think comparing it to Dark Souls was okay, right? Action RPG, fighting bosses, right? Elden Ring. And saying it's not going to meet Elden Ring, sure. Fair take. I think that saying that Black Desert is worse combat than classic World of Warcraft. What? Insane. And these are every comment, guys, is saying this. The problem is every action game now is compared to Dark Souls from Software gameplay. Not every game is Souls-like. That's true. I despise video, but saying the combat is bad when he barely pulls 3 skill points into his Awakening kit and barely completed the tutorial is wild. There it is. I love Souls-like, but damn, stop comparing every game to Dark Souls. Again, I don't really mind that he compared it to Dark Souls. The only thing I really was like, that's insane, was the BDO comment. I'll still give the video a thumbs up. Here's the video right here, guys. Here's the video right here. You go take a look at it, comment, look like interesting takes. Normally I agree with Asmon on most of what he says, and I love him to death, but yeah, it's insane. We're gonna agree to disagree on that one. That's fine. Video combat is better, but boss mechanics, etc. Oh yeah, so that's what makes Dark Souls better. I forgot to explain that. Your mechanics, your combat mechanics are much simpler, but the boss's mechanics in Elden Ring is what makes it super good. In Sekiro is what makes the bosses so good. Dark Souls, the boss's combat makes it really good. Where I'm talking about like the player's combat, like the player's perspective combat.